Hello, welcome to a work in progress. This is the pilot episode. Not even episode 1, pilot episode. I'm just sort of testing to see how this goes. So, what I will be talking about in this episode and future episodes, I will be talking about current events surrounding us, my experiences in the current world right now, films, music, and some little bits of inspiration from me to hopefully brighten up your week if you need it. So, with this podcast, my purpose is to definitely share my opinions on music and films, as it is a huge part of my life, but also just give my perspective on things. I really like giving my opinion about things, so this is sort of an outlet to be able to properly explain myself, maybe, and hopefully learn new things in the coming weeks if I ever have guests, which would be really cool. But my first order of business is obviously a discussion about the current events surrounding us. Obviously, coronavirus. Everybody knows about coronavirus, from little kids to fully grown adults and vice versa. And it's definitely been challenging, especially for me personally, going into university studies and not sort of being more independent in the beginning, and then with this whole epidemic or pandemic, whatever you want to call it, and having to rely solely on myself more rather than it be yourself, but we're sort of like the whole university in the background, if that makes sense. Now it's at my house, in my room, on my laptop, and the pool of to watch Netflix or to scroll around is very, very challenging, especially when it is virtually instinct to go on your phone now and watch videos rather than sit down, actually look into what you're studying. In my case, actually looking at sort of technology and its impact on society. So this epidemic also aids in being able to understand where we are with technology. But it's getting a little bit a bit too hypothetical, and but that's just me dabbling in sort of that discussion, and to me it has been very, very interesting seeing everybody's reaction to being locked up at home. Not even locked up, but locked up in quotation marks, quote unquote, locked up, where it's freedom but no real freedom, and how everybody's been adjusting to that. Me personally, especially with university studies, is I've been really lacking motivation, if I'm honest. It's really hard, and it seems to be a common thing where people just hate it because going to university, it's the environment. You're seeing everybody else studying, you're seeing everybody else engaging, and you engage because it's surrounding you, so it's more easier. But when it's just you, it's more harder because you're sort of having to force yourself into doing so. And at first, it was definitely easier, but getting to now where I definitely feel myself from time to time definitely straying away from doing my work. But at the end of the day, I always try to do my work because I want to get the most out of the situation that I can. So then when it comes back to whenever I end up going, whenever we go back, it's not like I missed out on anything really. But yeah, that's my perspective on this epidemic, especially in the realm of academia, I guess. But very interestingly, it's also been impacting both music and film-wise, which will segue into me. I'm really not qualified to be talking about this, nor am I in the industry, but it is very interesting that we are seeing sort of pushbacks of films due to the coronavirus making it unsafe for filming, for an example, or cinemas are not opening so that they can't show them, which really is where all the money comes from them releasing. And it's kind of sad, because not once have I ever really been like, oh, there's a movie coming out, but I can't go watch it because the cinema isn't open, except for those days. But then again, a couple of days later, it's open again. But now it's permanently shut until further notice, and it's definitely weird. It's definitely weird. But yeah, like, and in music, festivals being shut down, no more tours and all that, they're having to be pushed back, people getting their money back. And it's sad, because a lot of people were looking forward to these moments. Luckily, artists that I've wanted to see either have already come, so I didn't see them anyway, or I luckily got to see them before this whole thing happened. But then that leads into my next sort of topic, and it's finding the good within the bad. And I know a lot of people probably be like, oh, you gotta stop being so negative, look for the positives in the negative. And you're probably sitting there like, bruh, I don't, how? Like, people rude, people going crazy, fighting over toilet paper, and you're like, how can you find the good in that? And it's definitely a good point. How do we find the good in quite possibly a bad situation? And I can attest to this, because I've definitely went through this mindset. But I came across a post on Instagram. I forgot who it was by, but it was, and what it exactly said. But from what I remember, it was talking about how this whole situation, it's sort of shown us how much of the things that we rely on each day we've taken for granted, how they aren't always there, how they're only temporary, and the real things that matter to us, our family, are always there with us. Or if not with us, around us. And that you could also be like, oh, well, I'm living at home by myself. And that would be a fair point. But even then, it's sort of like you still have them, hopefully, still out there. And that is the most important thing. And even then, you can still stay in contact with them through social media or your phone or bloody anything really these days. And it's just an interesting way to look at things, because if this happened, say, 100 years ago, how different it would be, not only in communication, but in terms of its impact on people. And it's just something to think about for a minute. Just like all this stuff that we take for granted, you know, being able to go outside with our friends, touching our friends, hugging our friends, all that. We always take it for granted because we're like, oh, you know, especially at school, oh, I'll see my friend tomorrow. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna really cherish every moment with them because I'm gonna see them again. But then, what if you never saw them again? Or never in quotation marks. Like, it's definitely a jarring thing to think about, and it's quite hard to think about until now, where it's sort of a reality, and it's definitely sad. But it also gives us room to improve ourselves. There's a lot of positive things about this coronavirus. You know, you may have seen the memes where it's like, oh, without all this pollution and all that, you know, the world's finally healing or whatever. But I feel like it's more than that. It's the fact that I feel like after this, we're all going to be more wise of the luxuries that we took for granted. And I feel like we're going to become more appreciative of these things, whether it's as simple as going to dinner with your family out, where it's a nice meal. I feel like after this, a lot of families are going to cherish memories like that instead of being cooped up in the room having takeaway. And I feel like more people are going to be hanging out with their friends and making new friends because they really want that human interaction with each other. And I feel like this is a very interesting pushback because I remember sort of in the beginning of year 11, sort of thinking about how social media has sort of made us all connected, but in reality, we're not as connected physically. And this is an interesting pushback where I feel like it's gone backward in terms of technology, but also gone forward, where we have all these new ways of communicating with each other. We have Zoom now, or widespread Zoom. A lot of companies now have been sort of having to change their ways to adhere to the government measures, which is also a really good thing, because now they're taking safety and health very seriously if they did not before. Where there's been a huge emphasis on, as they're called, essential workers now, where before they may have been the butt of the joke where, everybody is like, these high-paying jobs, there's sort of like a class divide between those people and the people that work in, say, lower forms of retail. But now it's sort of those higher paying jobs, whatever they are, in the big businesses in the city, in the buildings, have sort of phased out now, where they have to be working at home, or if they're able to work at home, or if not. And now it's like, no, these people that are putting the food on the shelves for us each day, they're the essential ones. And I feel like that is an important lesson, because they're just as important as the people that, work at banks, for example. And going on with how people are changing, I feel like that would also change the way people view those jobs. Or maybe not. Maybe someone's stubborn and they don't want to change, which is also fine. It's very people are interesting. It's my consensus with all this. But I always like to use the analogy, you can't have a rainbow without a little rain. And it's cheesy, yeah. It's simple, but I love it because with that headspace, you're acknowledging that things are bad. It's rainy, whatever rain negatively represents in your world. Maybe you lost something. Say, for example, that you lost your sock, all right? Say, for example. Maybe that will sort of butterfly effect where it will, in the future, say, you become more aware of where you put your socks next time. Or maybe it will open your mind to new ways. Maybe socks aren't for you. It's a really bad analogy using socks, but bear with me. It's really just a mentality that even though something bad is happening right now, something good can come later on, because you can't have a rainbow without a little rain. Maybe I said sunshine before I meant rainbow. It's just some wisdom that I try to use in my day-to-day life, which definitely becomes challenging. It's definitely hard to practice what you preach, but I feel like if you can, it will definitely help you more than it will hinder you. And on that sort of high note, I don't really have any but as I was saying, sort of let's focus on the film and music aspect of what I want to be talking about, because sort of trying to get used to doing this is definitely weird, just talking to nothing for this duration of time. Not that I'm not used to talking to nothing, but it's definitely weird, especially because I feel like there's a certain pressure and it's hard to make thoughts into words sometimes. But this has just been a sort of a rough cut of what I would like each week to be. It's just a discussion, where, I have a document up on my laptop right now of sort of the way I want this episode to run. I have like all these points that I want to talk about, and I've sort of hit them all, and hopefully the next one I'll sort of have a more focus, maybe like a film I want to talk about, or a song or an album or an artist. Maybe not an artist, maybe like an album to sort of focus on. But definitely give me some feedback on this, whether it's I did this good but I could do this better, or whether it's this is all horrible, you should be doing this instead, or whatever. Definitely let me know, either in the comments, or if you have my Snapchat or Instagram, definitely message me on there and I will try to reply to the best I can. But yeah, this has been a work in progress. It is quite literally a work in progress, figuratively and literally. This has been the pilot episode. Definitely try and do this each week, once a week. Try and adhere to that, which would be really cool. Probably try and aim for a Monday. Mondays would probably be easier. Sunday or Monday will probably be how I release this. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for tuning in to my random ramblings for 20 minutes now. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you sort of learned something. If not, that's okay. Hopefully in the upcoming weeks you learn something new. Or if not, and you're one of those people that just know everything, I hope this was just good filler as you sit there doing whatever you're doing. And yeah, thank you. I will see you guys next time with episode 2 or 1. I really know how this works. I'll figure it out. But thank you and goodbye.